was a time in history when a car was not just simply something to get you from point A to point B, when it meant something to the person driving it. When the car and driver bonded and something special happened. For most, this bond lasted a few years, a decade even, but to some, it lasted a lifetime. For most, the car had a lifespan, and when that span was up, it was time to trade it in or take it to the yard. But for others, the ones that just couldn't see something so beautiful die, something else happened. Something that required the owner to sacrifice his own means to keep the relationship going. And for the lucky cars out there that had this kind of an owner, they lived on. Some will say it was worth it, others will not. However they ended up here, you could say they got lucky. So today, in a warehouse on a wintry afternoon, these cars sit, most of them just as pristine as the day they drove off the lot. Each one has a story, each one had a relationship, each one unique. We're at Ellingson Motorcars Museum and Dealership in Rogers, Minnesota today. This episode is not a paid advertisement. I just simply couldn't stay away from a place like this. So I called them to see if I could come out and film some of the cars, hear some of their stories. And they said yes, so here I am, and here you are. So come with me and step back in time. Welcome to this episode of Matt's Rad Show.
I'm Luke Tolbert with Ellingson Motorcars. This is our newly remodeled showroom, and I'm just going to show Matt around a little bit today. So this is a 1970 Ford Shelby Cobra GT500. It was purchased new here in Minnesota. The owner purchased it specifically for the purpose of drag racing it. So when he got a hold of it, he brought it home. He removed the factory 428 Cobra jet and he put in a 427 and went out and proceeded to drag race the car. Campaigned it for a few years until the 427 actually threw a rod at Minnesota Dragways. And so he decided to take it home and put it into storage, and the car sat there until the mid-80s when the owner's son actually went out in the garage and realized that the original engine was there and all the pieces for the car were there. So he proceeded to put the original engine back in, have the car repainted, and bring it to its current state. The car has 5,965 actual miles on it, most of them a quarter of a mile at a time. It is still 100% original down to the correct part numbers on the seat belts. The interior is original. The only thing that has truly been changed on this car is the tires and the paint job. Other than that, it is actually an unrestored 5,000 mile original car. So kind of a cool story behind that one. This car has been here for just a little bit. The owner unfortunately decided to part with it. But yeah, it's a pretty special one. Pretty good story on it. It is unusual for a drag car or a custom ordered as a drag car. It does have power steering and power brakes. From what I'm told, when they did campaign it with the 427 in it, the power steering was removed, so it didn't rob any horsepower. But yeah, just a pretty neat little Mustang with a cool story behind it. So kind of a neat little story about this 55 sedan delivery here. At one point in time in the early 80s, I believe, it was owned by Jim Henson and was used to transport the Muppets around. He specifically bought this vehicle to have a big cargo area so that he can move the puppets around to different places, from his workshop to studios, things like that. We've got full documentation on that. The car originally was ordered as a state vehicle. He bought it at an auction. So yeah, kind of a neat little story on that one. It actually hauled the Muppets around for quite a few years.
Right here in Minnesota is a little bit of movie history, Jim Henson history. Jim Henson. Kermit was back here. Kermit the Frog. Who else? Who else? All of them. Fozzie Bear, Gonzo maybe. Countless Muppets could have been back here. Jim Henson sat right there. Right there. And hauled his Muppets around in this old car. This is incredible. Let's take a look. This old Chevy sedan delivery.
Alright, so here we have a 1948 Lincoln Continental V12 convertible in factory original form. It has been restored, but it does have the original V12 flathead engine in it.
Those are factory?
Yeah, so but a lot of hot rodders liked them because they were, you know, kind of different than any other door handle, that kind of thing. So hot rodders used to find these things in junkyards and actually cut this section of the door out so they could weld it into their car and add those buttons.
Little push button.
Yep. And it's the exact same thing on the inside. It's just a single button.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Back in the day, these were kind of notorious for having some overheating issues, that kind of thing, and of course left unchecked, the engines could blow up. Now the limited production of these cars and engines made it so that it was very, very difficult to acquire another engine or even parts to put them back together. So in general, what people did when they had one of these with a V12 that blew up, they would put together a street rod out of it because there wasn't much else they could do. And I just so happen to have one of those street rod examples on the other end of the showroom. Now this car in body wasn't modified in any way, other than removing some trim and some emblems, things like that. But overall, this one's not a convertible, but it hasn't been modified. You can see it's still got the factory grille, everything's still laid out the same. It's still got the push button door handles. This car has been fitted with a 351M and a C6 transmission. Obviously repainted, they deleted some of the emblems and some of the chrome. They've added a Mustang 2 front suspension with disc brakes, kind of the standard street rod formula, if you will. So it becomes a nice running, driving car that you could take anywhere. It's got air conditioning, all the amenities. This one was done quite a while ago, so it's actually got a color television in the dash with a VCR under the back seat. It's kind of a neat little deal.
Cool.
And that's what you do with your Lincoln V12 when it blows up. You might recognize this 46 Ford Super Deluxe convertible as one of the cars that Biff drove in the movie Back to the Future. This obviously is not the same one. Fun fact about the car Biff drove in Back to the Future, it actually was not a convertible. They bought a coupe and took a Sawzall and cut the roof off of it because buying a convertible was much more expensive. But we do have an example of a 46 Super Deluxe convertible here. It is very similar to what Biff's car was intended to be.
But it will be.
Right. Oh yeah, we'll get there. Oh, he brought it down to the ground.
Behind the scenes here.
Yeah.
Holy cow! Look at this thing.
Yeah. So this is the limousine, and it was stretched by a company in Ohio, and for years it was a working limousine. It's filthy. We're doing all kinds of work
Sure,
to it
yeah.
right now, but if you get in and just get a little idea. And everybody pretty much recognizes this mass-produced limo side. You know, that's what they put on. And then they have, for the air conditioning system, to keep up with the size, it's actually got a condenser from a school bus.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, it's kind of neat. The power center and everything is like a modern limousine. Everything works pretty much the same way.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's just a modern, more modern 70s 350, power steering, power brakes, just upgraded suspension, obviously. It's got a 3-piece drive shaft like a truck with 2 hanger bearings in it.
Wow.
But surprisingly enough, it actually drives out really nice. Other than wide cornering,
Oh yeah.
it drives like a 57 Chevy street rod. It's
Holy
really
cow.
not bad to drive at all.
This will definitely turn some heads.
Yeah, it gets a lot of attention. The only place we've actually taken it before we tore it apart and started working on it and improving some stuff was for our company Christmas party this year.
Okay.
We loaded everybody up and just drove. We just went to a restaurant across the freeway.
Oh, that's so cool.
And yeah, in that half-a-mile drive there and half-a-mile drive back, we probably got like 50 thumbs up and
I'll bet.
people honking and things like
Jeez.
that. Yeah, you don't see too many of these. There's a
No.
couple around the country, but.
Wow. So is this a 6-figure car when it's all done?
No, actually not that bad. I mean, when it's all done and all cleaned up and everything's working perfectly, this will be a $65,000 car.
Wow, okay. Wow. That's amazing. Very cool.
Yeah, and the oldest one we have on the premises right now is right here.
Wow.
A 1922 Model T touring car.
Oh wow, the crankshaft and everything.
Yep, and that actually belongs to one of our mechanics. It's not even
Okay.
not even one of our cars, but it is the oldest one in the building at the current moment.
He just brought it in to fix her up a bit, huh?
Yep. He just after hours he does a little work here and there. That car runs and drives great.
Does it really?
Yeah, I've taken a ride in it.
Wow.
You don't want to go much over 25 miles an hour. It gets a little scary.
A little bumpy.
Yeah.
So all these ones that you're going to be putting them out for sale?
Yeah.
besides
So
sale?
any of them we get. Actually, that's my job.
Yeah.
I'm the manager of the shop and the intake system. So
Okay.
when we get a car in, no matter where it comes from, if it's a consignment, if we buy it from a private party, we buy it from an auction, we have a full inspection that we do, run through everything, kind of check everything out. Anything safety related, obviously, absolutely has to be fixed. Little convenience stuff, then we weigh it out relative to the car. We don't. 99% of the little electric clocks in the dash never work.
Sure.
We don't necessarily send those out to be restored, but
Okay.
but yeah, we top to bottom, anything safety related for sure. A lot of little aesthetic stuff, and then anything that we think just improves the car, makes it more desirable. So same thing. That's why we've got the limousine all torn apart.
Yeah.
Just cleaning it up, adding some things, making it a little better.
Very cool. Awesome.
This is the Batmobile we were talking about. The body is built by a company called Fiberglass Freaks, and it's just a replication of what George Barris built for the TV show. It's got a lot of the actual gadgets, all the lights light up and the detectoscope works and all that fun stuff. And then it's got these shades that come down over so the whole dash can be covered like it was in the TV show.
Cool.
It's based on a 76 Lincoln with a 460 in it, which is pretty standard for these. Most of these replicas you see is a 70s Lincoln. But yeah, this car is really one of the This is the third one we've had here, Replica Batmobile. And this is by far the best one. Everything works on it, including the afterburner. It is a propane-powered cannon, basically.
Cool.
So yeah, that unfortunately I can't show you that inside the building. But yeah, it's got the hood and the trunk are on linear actuators. They've got brake lights hidden inside the pipe, so when you hit the brakes, it looks like there's fire coming out of the pipe.
Sweet.
Kind of thing. But yeah, it's actually, and surprisingly enough, it's a good driving car. It works as a vehicle. Wouldn't want to drive it on a day like today because there's not really a roof, or a heater for that matter.
Unless you're standing directly behind it.
Right. Yeah. Then you'll be nice and warm. You can cook your lunch. But yeah, it's just a regulator and a manifold and a couple of igniters. You push a button on the dash and it'll throw a flame. Depending on how high the regulator is set, it'll throw a flame about out to here.
Cool. Is that like parachute or?
Yeah, these are they're dummies. I mean, they're empty casings with just foam in them. But yes, those are parachutes. The car in the TV show had parachutes.
Okay.
The car in the TV show did not have a backup camera, but this one does because it is very hard to see out of the back of this car.
I imagine so. Yeah. A few blind spots.
And this is about the largest car I can physically fit into my enclosed trailer.
Yeah.
I literally, when I pull it on, I have to have guys take the guide cables for the ramp and pull them out to the side because these body flares will touch them on the way through.
Oh man, that's crazy.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
It's definitely cool.
We saved the best for last. The 67 Shelby Mustang GT500. The GT500.
Yeah.
There she is. Yep. There's Eleanor. We're gonna get through this time, right? It's gonna be smooth.
What's he doing?
Easy. He's talking to her, man. Trying to get reacquainted. We only had a rough history.
Behind me is a Shelby 1967 Ford GT500, an Eleanor tribute vehicle. It's pretty sweet.
don't do, no, start, come on.
Man, this thing is incredible. I love when people do this, when they love a car so much they have to recreate it. This thing is incredible. Six-figure car, we're looking at $125,000 for this thing. It's a good-looking car.
See you tomorrow night, Eleanor. With your fine ass.
Eleanor. Now I'm gone. 60 seconds. After spending the better part of a day talking to Luke and filming these amazing cars, you come to realize that these cars aren't just cars. They're a part of history. They're a memory. They're a race. They're a trip, a movie, a moment in time, a moment that was too good to let go of. These are the ones that have inspired us in the past and continue to do so today. So many cars on the road today. So many of them drive by and never catch my attention, not even for a moment. But these cars, I spent the better part of a day filming. Why are they so intriguing? Why do they capture our attention and make us stop and look? I think they represent what we can create if we take the time to do something right. These cars were created, built, and designed to evoke a response that reminds us that life can be beautiful if we take the time to make it beautiful. But they're also a reminder to anybody who's lost something, who's ever felt run down, beat up, or put aside on the road of life, that with a little hard work and some creativity, a good group of friends and family, you can find yourself breathing new life into what you thought was once broken down. So get in, put the key in the ignition, give it some gas, and see what happens. Who knows? Maybe you'll get lucky like these did. The lucky ones. Thanks for watching this episode of Matt's Rad Show.